Hello everyone, welcome back to another Unscripted. So last week we were excited to officially tell you for the first time about our upcoming new feature, Smart Tasks, which releases completely for free on the 1st of September to all existing users. We promised that this week we would actually talk in a little bit more detail about some of the things that you can actually use Smart Tasks for. So on a day-to-day practical basis, you're in the classroom, what sort of things could you use Smart Tasks for? So we've got a number of things we're going to discuss through today, and we're going to be sharing a few sort of screen grabs of the product as we go. As we said, though, we're also releasing a series of much shorter, sort of 60 to 90-second videos that go through all the features on our YouTube channel. So we won't be going through all the features today, just to aid in our discussion. So let's get into it then. So I'm a real teacher, Dave, in a classroom. I've got Smart Tasks. How can I use it for setting homework? Let's start there. That's probably the number one. How can I use it to help set homework?
Yeah, sure. Well, one of the problems, of course, in the past is that although you could set questions for homework, you didn't have a lot of control over when the students, when they became available to the students and when there were deadlines, and then looking at the outcomes of that particular homework, and also guaranteeing that every student was doing the same questions. And Smart Tasks enables you to do all that. So what I suggest we do is just have a quick look at creating a new task. And we're going to set the experience of the homework that we want. So I'm just going to kind of guide Craig through setting up a task here.
Brilliant. So there you go.
Okay, so we're going to choose the course. We're going to select our class. And then we've got this new button up here called Tasks. So we click on that. And we can see the status of all our tasks, but we're not going to go into that today. So we're going to click New Tasks, New Task, yeah. And then we're going to give the task a name. So we're going to call this Homework. And then we're just going to save that and go on to the next stage. Okay, we only want questions from the first couple of topics because we've already taught those. And then we're going to set our experience. Now, I want my students to do 20 multiple choice questions. And I want to do 20 multiple choice questions because I don't want to mark it, actually. That's the truth of it. Okay. Because, of course, multiple choice questions can be automatically marked. You know, this is great. If you want to set a load of homework and you don't want to mark it and you want to have lots of data in your mark book, this is a great way of doing it. So we're just going to set 20 multiple choice questions. So we're going to save that. It's going to pick the questions, so you don't need to spend time choosing those questions. It will do it for you, and all the students will get the same questions with this mode. So we're going to say next to that. And then we're going to give the students a deadline. So we're going to allow late submissions, so students can actually do their homework late, but we want to track that. And we're going to just set a deadline for the end of the week, let's say. Okay, and then save and continue. Okay, quick summary. We're going to click Finish here, and we're going to assign it to our students. And there we go. And that task has been assigned. And so it becomes available to the students immediately because I didn't set an available from date, only a deadline date. And it's going to be completely self-marked. And the marks from that task are going to go into my mark book. So that's an easy way of setting homework and then holding students to account for that homework. Because if they do hand it in late, it's going to appear orange in your mark book. So very easy to track. And if they don't do their homework, it will appear as red in your mark book. So a great way of you tracking progress over time as well.
Nice.
Okay, so that's that.
Right, the next two, although they're different purposes that a teacher might want to use in class, and I think all teachers will be aware of these, I think they can be served through a very similar mechanism. So I'll just bring up the two, but using Smart Tasks then for maybe an initial baseline assessment. Maybe students had a long time away. Obviously, we've had the pandemic, or they're just coming in fresh class, baseline assessment, and also for end of topic tests. And I think we can kind of service this in a very similar way, although you're meeting two very different purposes, which are really common for a teacher. So using Smart Revise to do an end of topic test or for a baseline assessment, knowing how well students are doing at something at that moment in time.
Yeah, sure. So let's go and set a new task again then, Craig.
Okay.
And you can have as many active tasks, by the way, as you want. That's completely unlimited. Okay, so this is our baseline assessment. Now, the truth is you could do this in lots of different ways, but I'm going to show you a way that I would do this. Okay. So let's set the topics that we want to do a baseline assessment on. So let's say I'm going to start a new topic and I just want to see kind of what they know at this stage before I've started teaching it. Okay. But of course you could do it as a review coming back after the summer holiday or, after, pandemic, etc. So let's go for network security 1.4. I want to just do a quick baseline assessment.
You could baseline assessment all of paper 1 or all of paper 2. Yeah, exactly.
Of course you could. Yeah. Okay, and this time I'm just going to set a task that only includes terms. Okay, so terms are kind of defining the key words. And so this is great if you want to get, that baseline knowledge. Do they understand what this term means? Because if they understand the term, then they're a good way there. And all these questions are going to be 1 or 2 marks if they were on a real paper. And it would typically say something like, define the term TCP/IP or something like that. So let's have a quick look at what that does. So we've got how many questions there, Craig? Did you do 13?
13, yeah.
13 questions. Okay, here you are. So, define the term physical security, define the term user access level. So you could have as many questions in this baseline assessment as you wanted to fit the time that you've got and how deeply you want to go into the topic. It may well be, for example, that just having 10 questions is enough here, just 10 terms from a topic just to get a feeling for where the students are with that particular topic. That might be enough assessment for you. So that's a baseline assessment. Let's go back to the experience and just change it up, and we'll have a look at what we would do for an end of topic test then. So with an end of topic test, I typically want to vary the number of questions here. So I'm going to go for 4 quiz questions. I'm going to go for 3 terms questions. I'm going to go for 2 advanced questions. I'm going to go for 2 4 to 7 mark questions here and 1 advanced 8+ mark questions. And before I click next,
there you go. Yeah, so I can't because there's no 8.
Oh, there aren't any for that particular topic.
And that's probably worth mentioning out here what these little in brackets are. So obviously based on your filters, we've just selected 1 topic. So for that topic, for that course, there are 13 terms associated with that topic and there's 36. So yeah, that obviously changes. I mean, if we were doing an end of topic test for, let's pick another one, let's do systems architecture, that will all update dynamically. So I'll update and continue. See, now I can see this section has an 8-mark question, has 2 4 to 7. So you're knowing that it's applying the filters for you. So go on, Dave. I'll just
sure. So let's just reset that back up. So we're going for 4 quiz questions.
Yeah.
We're going for 3 terms questions. We're going for 2 advanced 1 to 3 marks. We're going for 2 4 to 7 and 1 8+ marks. Okay, now before we click next here, this is the experience. And remember that Smart Revise is going to automatically pick the questions for you so that you haven't got that time-consuming aspect of setting tasks. In the future, you will be able to pick and choose particular questions you want. But in this first iteration, we're just trying to take away that workload from you. So before we continue, having a quick look at that pie chart, and more importantly, the data above it, it says estimated time to complete 23 to 42 minutes. So what it's doing is it's looking at the experience that you've generated here, and it's estimating before it chooses the questions how long that might be. So on average, 33 minutes. So if I've got an hour-long lesson, I'm thinking that I want this end of topic test to only last about half of the lesson. So 30 minutes roughly is what I'm going for. This feels about right, but we're going to go to the next stage and we're going to have a look at the questions it's generated to actually get a feel for how long it will actually take. So if we just scroll up a moment, Craig, it says this task should take students 31 minutes to complete. That feels about right to me, because the truth is students won't take that amount of time. It does build in a little bit of buffer time so that students can check their answers, etc. So I think this will take probably just under 30 minutes in reality. So this is perfect. So this is exactly what I want to set them for an end of topic test. So I'm just going to click next. I'm going to say that there's no deadline for this submission because we're going to do it in class. And if they don't do it or someone's absent, then I'll just submit an empty task for them, or I'll delete their task if I need to. Have a quick review of this. So there are 12 questions in the task. It's using one topic. It will take the students 31 minutes to complete, excluding extra time. So in the future, you will be able to put in extra time for certain students. This task will be accessible to students as soon as they're assigned. That's fine, although I could go back actually, and I could set when it's available from. If I don't want the students to see this task before they come into the lesson, then I can set the date and time of when it becomes available, so they only see it in my lesson and they can't kind of get a sneak peek ahead of the lesson. So that's quite nice.
Helps all you forward planners who like to get all your homeworks and tests sorted at the start of the year on your inset day, but don't want them available until I do that.
Yeah. There's no deadline for the task. That's fine. Finish. And then I can assign. Now, if I know a student is absent, because I could actually do this, you saw how quick it was. I could actually do this while the students are kind of in the lesson. I've taken the register. They're doing something while I'm just getting this task prepared. And I know who's absent, and I could just not include them in the list. Or I could include everybody for now, and then later on in the day, I can come back and I can delete the task for the students that weren't
I know this is not what we were discussing now, but yeah, let's say Sally's not there. So as you say, I've started the task and off we go. I must confess, I've forgotten the name of that task already. What was that? That was...
I can't remember what you called it either. I wasn't watching.
Baseline assessment.
There it is.
There it is. So I'm quite zoomed in on my interface so you guys can see it properly. But there's the baseline assessment. As I said, you can see there, it's ready for every student other than Sally. And oh no, Sally's just turned up. She was late because she was with the head of year. Oh no, not a problem. Task not set. Set task. There you go. Sally can do it now. So, you know,
and equally, Andrew made a mistake. Andrew's actually not present. Somebody else answered their name on the register. So I can just delete the task for that student. It's not a problem at all. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Brilliant. So that's our baseline assessment and end of topic tests.
It is, right. So here's an interesting one, Dave. Here's an interesting one. Targeted revision for an extended answer question. So I do this quite a lot as a teacher. I mean, you know, I know, all those teachers watching will know. Students constantly struggle with those big 8+ marker questions, the quality of written communication. And it's quite common to say, right, today we're going to practice an 8-mark question. We're all going to have a go at it. We're going to look at your answers. We're going to pair you up and you're going to mark each other. We're going to have a class discussion. You know, we all tend to do that. So can I use Smart Tasks to help facilitate that process? This is a learning session for the whole class with the teacher involved directing it, helping them mark extended questions. Could Smart Tasks help serve that purpose?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I would do with my experience is I would set a task that only includes one question. It includes one question from one topic, and it's only an 8+ mark question. And having done that and assigned it to the students, they can then answer that question in class, maybe as a starter activity or maybe as part of one of the main activities. And having answered that question, and you can see how the students are progressing in terms of have they opened it, have they started it, are they completing it, have they submitted it. You can do all that. But once they have submitted it, you might then want to lead them in a class discussion about the answers for that question. So let's go in product, Craig, and let's have a look at a discussion question that we've set up in advance.
Oh, look, here's one we prepared earlier. So, right, we've done just that then. My class has come in, Dave. I said, right, first 10 minutes, log on to Smart Revise. You'll see a task available to you called Extended Answer Question. Have a go. And we can see here now that 50 minutes into the lesson, every student has done that. It's awaiting marking, other than Sally, for whatever reason. Maybe Sally's just slow, or maybe Sally isn't here. But this is ready for marking, indicated by the highlighted blue button at the top. So do you want me to go ahead and press that then, Dave?
Yeah, let's click mark. And we're not actually going to mark the question. We're just facilitating a discussion, really. Okay. So here we can see the question. Can we just zoom in a little bit on that, Craig? Because it's going to be difficult to actually read. And maybe one more. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this question is state the factors that can affect the performance of a CPU and explain how changing any of those components, either individually or in combination, can increase the speed of code execution. Okay, it's worth 8 marks, and we can see that those students, Susie, Tony, Andrew and Claire, have all answered it. Indicated by the little A, and we can see that we haven't marked it because we've got a little 1 next to their name there, which is the number of questions that are unmarked. Anyway, so let's have a quick look at one of our students then, Craig. Susie. And so what I've done here is I've projected this onto the whiteboard so that all the students can actually see it at the same time. And when we can review together Susie's answer, so we can have a look at what she's written here. So she's got processor speed. The faster the processor, the more instructions can be executed in the same amount of time. I'm not going to read the whole answer, but you can see her answer. And then we can engage with the class looking at the mark scheme and think, okay, do we think that Susie is going to get a mark for this part of the answer, is going to get a mark for that part of the answer, etc. So we can engage in that discussion. But also, really importantly, we can now compare our students. So, for example, if we now click on Tony, we can see Tony has answered the question, but he's done it much more succinctly. And we can again have a look at that. If we have a look at Andrew, we can see Andrew has answered the question, but look at how much text is there, block of text. And the advice to students is that they tend to, what they should do is sort of 1 mark per line. It just makes it easier for the examiner to mark. So this is a discussion that we can have now with the class and say, don't do blocks of text. This is not English, okay? Just do individual lines, use new lines. It's easier to mark, and they can experience that and they can see that on the board.
Indeed, that's what Susie did there. So we can start putting out good practice as well.
Yeah, and then when we have a look at Claire, we can see Claire's got a very, very short answer here. It's not right. And, we can talk about, okay, what have we learned from the previous students we've looked at to help Claire in answering this particular question? And if you wanted to, what you could then do in the lesson is say, right, now that we've had a look at that together and we've reviewed it and we've thought about the mark scheme, we're going to set that question again. And so we're going to go back through creating a new task, very quick to do, 1 topic, 1 question, click generate and finish, and then get the students to do the same question again. And what should happen is they should have a better response to this particular question, and we can show progress in that way. Or perhaps you want to set that as a homework. So you've had a look at it in class together, and now you say, right, for homework, you're going to have another go at that question, and this time we're going to see if we can maximize our marks. And then you might mark that task more formally, and you might choose to delete this task because it was just a class discussion and you don't really want to mark it. So there's another great way of being able to use this feature.
Marvelous. Oh, excellent. Right, I'll just unshare that. I mean, it's starting to veer into showing you product features and how to actually market, but we don't really want to do that in today's video. We're going to have plenty of that coming up in our little the mini series. Okay, so we've looked at using smart tasks to help set homework, baseline assessments, end of topic tests, to do a kind of targeted revision discussion session with extended answers. I can think of one more. If I don't put it in, teacher's going to be like, why didn't they put this? What about using smart tasks to create and set a mock exam experience for your class? Something we're always doing in schools, Christmas mocks, Easter mocks, blah, blah, blah. Could we use smart tasks to make that process easier, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's quickly go back in product and go to a new task, and then let's
Okay.
have a look at the experience. And just while Craig's doing that, we'll have a brief discussion about it. So, of course, there are products out there that do this for you. You know, you've got Exam Builder from OCR and Exam Pro and other things that are out there. They're great, and they do enable you to choose the questions that you want. But, you know, there's some time investment there for the teacher in having to choose the questions and set it all up. And of course, the students can't answer those online, so you end up printing them out, which might be great for, you know, a classic mock exam experience, but perhaps you want to do that online instead. And so with Smart Revise and Smart Tasks in particular, not only have you not got all the workload in choosing the questions, but you also don't need to print them out, and students can do them online. They could also do them from home, incidentally. So this is going to give you a lot more flexibility.
Now, you might notice there, while Dave was chatting, you probably just saw in the background. So I created a task called Christmas Mock Exam, and I decided it was a mock exam on paper 1. Yeah, it could be paper 2, could be the whole thing. You have the freedom. Obviously, because I selected all the topics in topic 1, this happened to be the OCR J277 course, we can see here there's a lot available to choose from, you know, 400 quiz, 120 terms. There's 11 8 markers you can pick from, and more of the others. So we've got a large bank of questions to create our mock paper experience from.
Exactly, but you know, exams will take a particular format, and as Craig says, by using the topic filters, you can restrict which topics it's choosing the questions from to give them a paper 1 experience, for example. But we also know with OCR that multiple choice questions aren't really a feature at the moment, so we would choose not to include those in our mock exam. So instead, we're going to go for let's say 6 terms. Let's go for 6 terms. We're going to go for 5 advanced 1 to 3 mark questions. We're going to go for 4 to 7 mark questions. We're going to go for 1 8+ mark question. And that's because I know, having looked at the specification, that students will only get 1 question in a paper that is 8+ marks at GCSE. Now, different for A level, but just for GCSE. So I can have a look at this and I can think about, well, how realistic is this as an experience for them? I haven't included quiz questions because that's not a feature, and I've only got 1 advanced question at 8+ marks because that's a feature. But if I now have a look at it, it says it's going to take between 35 and 67 minutes, on average 51 minutes. Probably not long enough to be a realistic mock exam here. So I would want to increase the number of questions. So I'm thinking, okay, let's increase the number of questions sort of proportionally and then have another look at it. So now it's on average 77 minutes, and you can see how we're building up this paper to be a more realistic experience. Now, it may well be because of your school that you have to do your mock exams in the classroom, or perhaps the senior leaders say that your mock exam must be a certain amount of time so that it fits into a lesson. Maybe you've only got an hour, whereas the real paper might be an hour and a half. Here you've only got an hour. So you can use the experience to move those questions about to get the amount of time that you're looking for. And other than that, there's no difference really at the moment between this task and any other type of task. But Craig, let's just have a quick look on the schedule for this task, and we can just talk about very briefly a feature that's coming very, very soon.
Yes, right, we'll do that. Just before I do, I'm going to mention one comment on this page. So Dave has already alluded to it. Now, we said one of the advantages here is it's picking the questions for you, saving you that time. But we do know that there will be teachers out there that'll be like, well, that's great, but I want a bit more fine control. I like all of that other than that question. And as Dave said, at the moment, you can press generate new questions and it will randomly reselect based on your filters. But coming up in an iteration soon, we will have the ability, probably some buttons here, I haven't quite laid it out yet. We will have the ability for you to go to individual questions once they've been picked and just fine tune that experience even more should you wish. But at the moment, it sort of takes the hard work out. But yeah, let's go to the schedule. Okay, go on, Dave.
Yeah, so a feature that's coming very soon, in addition to the one that Craig's just alluded to, is a timed task. So at the moment you can't select it, but it's there in the options so you know that it's coming, and we're serious about delivering it. So you would use timed task if you want a timer. So when the students start the task, it starts a timer. And then after that timer has expired, it automatically submits the task so the students can't then continue with it. Now, there are a few questions about this. One is, well, what if a student closes their browser and opens it back up again and things like that? Well, the timer will continue to tick. So they won't be able to sort of cheat the time, as it were, in that way. They would have to reopen the task and then pick it up from where they left off, and that timer will still be ticking. The other thing that clearly you're going to need is the ability to give students extra time. And so we know that some students are entitled to 25% extra time. And how is the product going to facilitate that? Well, what it will do is it will enable you, when you assign the task to particular students, it will enable you to have another option that you can toggle on there, which gives the students extra time. And you're going to be able to configure that. So we'll probably put a default in of 25%. Or whatever the example recommendation is, and you'll be able to override that. And it will save that against the student. So next time you set a task, it will have remembered that you gave that student extra time in a previous task, and it will automatically apply that. And you would be able to then override that if you wanted to. So that's going to be really convenient, so that you won't need to remember which students in your class are entitled to extra time, and the product will then manage that for you, which I think is going to be fantastic.
Marvelous. Well, I mean, I think that's fantastic. So what have we gone through? Just a quick recap then. I mean, we've said how you can use Smart Tasks to easily help facilitate setting of homework, baseline assessments, end of topic tests, to do a targeted revision session, for example, extended questions, and to help you set mock exams. So there's just a few ideas off the top of our head. Now, during that, you've obviously seen a few screenshots of the product. You've not seen the student side, so how they carry it out. We briefly looked at the mark book, although you may have spotted there were other areas and features for feedback, and we haven't looked at where the marks all go. There's a student and teacher mark book. But as I said, these videos really were to let you know about the feature, let you know how you can use it. Those series of small short videos covering each of those features I've just discussed are going to be appearing on our YouTube channel every day in the run up to our launch on the 1st of September. And by the 1st of September, we will also have all the features of Smart Tasks documented on our help center as well. And of course, you know, if you're there using it in earnest in the academic year, which we hope you will be, and you do find any bugs or issues, or you simply turn around and say, it's great, but I'd love it to do X, Y, Z, you know, drop us a comment, leave us an email at admin@craiganddave.co.uk. We will be putting out in one of our videos and a mail shot to users a roadmap of where Smart Tasks is going, because more so than any other feature, we wanted to get this to you on the 1st of September. And we think we have a feature-rich product that you can use from launch. But we definitely have a number of things we want to do. Yeah, we've written coming soon, and we're not talking months here. We're talking it's full down development on enhancing Smart Tasks. So we'd like to have another release in sort of 2 to 4 weeks, and then another one after that. So we see sort of during the first term, September, October, November, you receiving 2, maybe 3 updates to Smart Tasks that just further enrich that experience. Right. Well, that's it for me. Any sort of last words from you, Dave?
No, not well. I always say no, and then I say something.
You do.
So the answer is yes, but it's really just to underline that fact that, you know, we are going to be doing short sprints after this, because I know one thing teachers are going to say straight away as well: can I do analytics on tasks? At launch, no. But it's already in development, and it will be released as part of the sprints that we're doing. So there's loads of features. You know, can I share tasks with other classes so that my other classes do the same questions? Can I share tasks with other teachers? You know, all that is in the pipeline. Just bear with us, and you're going to see a very, very rich product developing and evolving throughout the next academic year.
Brilliant. Right. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you again next week. Take care. Bye-bye.